So hello and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Rich Abel, and I am the DMD Therapeutic Area Lead for Global Medical Affairs at PTC Therapeutics. Today we'll provide an update on Ataluren, an investigational dystrophin restoration drug for nonsense mutation DMD or Duchenne muscular dystrophy. During this presentation, we'll cover the following. So who is PTC? What is Ataluren, specifically Ataluren's mechanism of action and the definition of a nonsense mutation? I will then show you a snapshot of the extensive amount of work that has gone into the development of Ataluren over the last 20 years, followed by closing with a reminder of our ongoing clinical studies, so 041, 045, and 046. And then we'll end with our ongoing observational real-world evidence registry study called STRIDE. This is our forward-looking statement. We are a public company. So who is PTC Therapeutics? We were founded over 20 years ago. We are a global, commercial, diversified biopharmaceutical company focused on innovative therapies for rare genetic disorders. PTC's ability to globally commercialize products is the foundation that drives investment in a robust pipeline of transformative medicines and our mission to provide access to best-in-class treatments for patients who have an unmet medical need. We have multiple programs across genetic disorders and in oncology. If you want to learn more about these programs, please feel free to visit www.ptcbio.com as shown here. Since its inception, PTC has been passionate about making a difference in the lives of the rare disease community, and we continue to do so. PTC is a leader in Duchenne muscular dystrophy treatment. We have 2 approved therapies. Ataluren is the first ever targeted therapy approved for nonsense mutation DMD anywhere in the world. It's currently available in over 40 countries worldwide outside of the United States, and we're currently conducting trials for potential US approval. And Deflaza, the second therapy, or deflazacort, is a corticosteroid approved in the United States specifically for DMD as a tablet and suspension. This was approved in 2017. And Deflaza's data demonstrate that it's a best-in-class corticosteroid for the treatment of DMD. We are proud to say here at PTC that we have been helping thousands of patients and their families living with DMD around the world. Now we'll go through just briefly an overview of Ataluren. So Ataluren is conditionally approved in Europe for ambulatory patients 2 years and older with DMD caused by a nonsense mutation. It's available to boys in over 40 countries, as I mentioned previously, through commercial and PTC Access to Therapies, or PTC ACTS, which is an early access and compassionate use program. Discussions with the FDA regarding approval in US are ongoing, but we do have a clear pathway forward, which was provided by the FDA, with requests for additional clinical studies which are ongoing, and we'll touch on just briefly later. And we're to resubmit our package upon completion of these clinical studies. So just as a reminder, Ataluren is considered an investigational product in the United States. To continue with Ataluren overview, Ataluren is a small molecule. It's taken orally 3 times a day with a recommended total daily dose of 40 milligrams per kilogram. This is taken as 10 milligrams per kilogram in the morning, 10 milligrams per kilogram midday, and another 20 milligrams per kilogram in the evening. In a clinical research for nonsense mutation DMD patients treated with Ataluren versus placebo, Ataluren showed to slow progression of disease, allows patients to walk longer and stay more physically able, have fewer accidental falls, have preserved lung function, improves quality of life scores, and it's generally well tolerated. The adverse reactions were generally mild or moderate in severity, and there were no treatment-related serious adverse events to be reported. The positive risk-benefit profile of Ataluren prompted EMA to grant a conditional approval in 2014, and Ataluren received ANVISA approval in Brazil in 2019. So how does it work? Or what's the incidence first? So the incidence of DMD is 1 out of every 3,600 or 6,000 live male births, and approximately 20,000 children are diagnosed with Duchenne globally each year. DMD arises from the absence of dystrophin protein caused by mutations in the dystrophin gene. These mutations can be large or small, and the distribution of the mutation types are shown here in the pie graph. It's important to understand that Ataluren is specifically for patients who have a nonsense mutation, and that this represents approximately 10 to 15% of the DMD population. Knowing the genotype, the specific type of mutation that one has, is very important to ensure the right therapy for the right patient. So now how does it work? A nonsense mutation in the dystrophin gene, again, creates a premature termination or stop that forms a shortened or smaller non-functional dystrophin protein. How does a nonsense mutation work? A simple analogy to use is to think about having a conversation with someone and they place a period in the middle of each sentence and never finish the sentence. And then they do this with every sentence. So just looking at this sentence, the stop is in the middle and the sentence would read, "I need coffee in." Well, a similar thing happens at the level of translation when there is a premature stop codon. Ataluren works by bypassing or reading through the nonsense mutation and allows for the formation of a full-length functional dystrophin protein, or to continue with our analogy, a full-length sentence. So applying Ataluren to this sentence, it would read, "I need coffee in order to function." And this is what you want to hear. And this is comprehensive, but it's just a snapshot of Ataluren's clinical development program, or more basic terms, what's gone into understanding its efficacy and safety profile in DMD. So PTC was founded again in 1998, and Ataluren was discovered shortly after in 2003. Following this 5-year period, an extensive amount of work has gone into understanding Ataluren's clinical development over the last 15 years, with the early phase proof of concept and dose finding studies occurring in the early 2000s. Shown in red on your right are our ongoing studies that we will discuss in brief in the next slides. So ongoing clinical studies, we have a few. So study 041, and then the dystrophin studies 045 and 046, as shown here. At this time, none of these studies have additional room for enrollment. The US dystrophin studies are expected later this year, and 041 is tracking according to schedule. We're very excited to talk about STRIDE. As part of the risk management plan for Ataluren, PTC Therapeutics is conducting a post-approval registry to obtain information on safety and effectiveness of Ataluren. It will capture the long-term effects and the safety profile of Ataluren, as well as the utilization patterns in routine clinical practice. Patients are followed for a minimum of 5 years, and no study medication is provided as part of the observational registry. The treating physicians make all the treatment decisions according to his or her usual practice and provides prescriptions as appropriate to those patients. We have had a recent publication of first cut of this data. So the comparison of effectiveness of Ataluren versus the standard of care alone, which can be seen to your left. This article was published in January of this year, and it looked at the effectiveness of Ataluren plus a standard of care in the registry, so in STRIDE, versus the standard of care alone in Synergy natural history database, or natural history study. The patients in STRIDE, in the STRIDE registry at the time of cutoff, 181 were matched with the Synergy patients, again, and 181 of those Synergy patients. And these patients were matched based on comparable established disease progression predictors. The cutoff time for these data and the publication was July 9th, 2018. The Ataluren plus standard of care alone significantly delayed the age at loss of ambulation and the age worsening performance in time function tests versus standard of care alone. We will have an opportunity and look forward to providing a deeper dive into the STRIDE data if you don't read the paper beforehand during our 6-minute presentation here at PPMD. So finally, we'd just like to take the time to thank you for your attention. We also want to extend our thanks to the boys and their families and their participation in these studies, and to the individuals who were instrumental in the conduct of the studies and the collection of the data, in particular the principal investigators, supporting investigators, clinical coordinators, clinical evaluators, and study coordinators. Thank you again.